Welcome to this week's Ask Charlie and to part 2 of my Q&A. I have had so many amazing questions from you all, and when I said if you'd like part 2, I got even more questions, so I'm going to do my best to answer as many of them as possible. Now, I am a little bit tired, so forgive me if I'm a little bit waffly and not as concise as normal, but I don't think I'm ever concise. Lola had her puppies yesterday and I spent the night in the armchair next to her. I got, little bits of sleep, but I was performing my midwife duties, just making sure that they were all happy and well, and so far so good. So I will insert a picture here of Lola and her puppies, and of course I'll be sharing more about that in Friday's vlog. So I've lit the fire in here. It is windy and not very nice out there today, so I thought we'd just come in here quietly, leave Lola. I've got the doors open so I can hear if she needs me, and just answer the rest of your amazing questions. So the first one, and I think I've touched on this, will Tori be a companion pony or will you ride her? She's purely a companion pony. She is retired and she can enjoy her retirement here with us. Next question is from Julie. How to feel comfortable in company from different people from different backgrounds. My mother taught us to treat everybody as though we're equals, and I think that was instilled in my brother and I from a very, very young age. So I think I embrace meeting different people from different walks of life, and I think it's really important to give people your time. Your time is so precious, and I think their time is precious too. And I think it's really important just to chat to people, to be friendly, to pay them a compliment, to whatever it might be, start a conversation, and I think that puts everybody at ease. You always see the good in people. Tips for not being judgmental. Again, I think Mum's words of wisdom: treat other people as you would like to be treated, and that is very, very important. Then let's move on to the next page. Do you have any dating advice for your younger self or your younger watchers? Yes, Nikki. My cousin's wife, they live in America, said to me, say yes to everyone that asks you on a date, as long as you don't think they're completely, bonkers. Because you never know where it may lead. And that was such good advice. And I had that very much in the forefront of my mind when I said yes to going on a date with Simon. I'd got to know him a little bit. I thought he was a really nice guy. And I remember her words: say yes to everyone that asks you on a date, because you never know where it may lead. And again, it's not judging a book by its cover, by the cover. It's about getting to know somebody, and I think that is really great advice. What is one of your content creation goals, e.g. your own book, clothing line, etc.? Ella, I've talked in part 1 about wanting to write a book, or possibly a few books, and I have my online shop, and I would love to expand that range. That's what I'm trying to get at. Expand that and maybe get into clothing too. Who knows? We will see what the future brings. Do you have a weekly cleaning schedule? Yes, I do. And I'm going to leave it linked down below. It's available to you guys. I share through daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, 6 monthly, all my favourite products in my cleaning schedule. I think it's probably one of my best sellers on my website, and it's just a really great place to refer back to make sure that you're on top of everything. You can adjust it to suit yourself, and it's just quite good to have a framework to check that you're on top of everything. And there is a van that has just pulled up with a delivery, so I will see if I can get another question in quickly. No, I'm going to pause. I've popped another log on the fire. He was sorting through all his packages in his van and was, well, he's still there, separators, but let's crack on. Right. What additional hired help do you have with your home and your business? Great question. With my business, I have Tish, and Tish is short for Michelle. She's been with me since day one, and she's absolutely incredible. So what does she do? All the sort of tech side of things. She built my website. I will edit the content and upload it onto YouTube, although Tish used to do that. I actually find it easier to do my own editing. So I do all of the editing, I upload it, and I'm severely dyslexic. I really struggle with words. And so Tish will summarise what I've said and do all of the wordy side of things and send it to me for approval. And my newsletter, she again puts that together, sends it to me to check before it comes out to you. So Tish does so much and has been and is amazing involved with Ask Charlie. With the house, we have Quentin, who helps with gardening, odd jobs and things like that. And this is on a regular basis. When we were moving, I did have additional help sorting, decluttering and things like that because I was time poor and I could have stopped doing Ask Charlie and not put any content out there and done it all myself, or I chose to continue vlogging, sharing the journey with you all, but I needed some help because I am not Superwoman and I couldn't do it all. So I did have some help. We didn't have packers. I had wonderful Sophie and Beth who helped pack and declutter with me. We did the move ourselves with their help. And in hindsight, I would have actually just had a removal company. I would have had them declutter and then I would have had a removal company do all of the packing up and unpacking. But because we were downsizing, and because this wasn't ready for us to move into, we didn't have a kitchen and we were doing work in one of the bathrooms, putting a shower in, it was difficult just to go from one to another. It wasn't a straightforward move, and we also needed to work out what was going to fit in here and what we were going to sell and what we were going to store. So it was a complicated move. So I had additional help during that time, but on a regular weekly basis, I have Quentin and I have Piri, and Piri has been with us since I was pregnant with Gus, and she will help with ironing, a bit of cleaning. She'll take the dogs for a walk. She'll do whatever I need her to help me with. We just have her for a few hours a week now. We used to have her for more when the children were younger. Obviously, they're not, and I have more time to do things myself, and I actually really enjoy cleaning and ironing. But it's lovely to have Piri's help because we don't have any family. It's great that Piri has her set hours, but she will also go and do a school run or what have you for us. Di is also somebody I can turn to if I need, but since we've moved, I don't have Di on a regular basis anymore, although she will house sit, she will help with the horses and what have you, but I'm doing the horses 100% of the time with Coco's help. And before, when we were at our previous house and I had the B&B, I did have Di help with the horses on a regular basis as well. But for now, it's just Quentin and Piri, and that works really well for us. Any tips on raising boys, parenting young boys, currently 7 months and 2 years? Yes, Fleur. Exercise, fresh air, tire them out, keep them busy, keep them active, and then they will sleep well. So lots of fresh air, although they're tiny. Get your 2-year-old running around all weathers. I used to find those waterproof all-in-ones really, really handy. Go and jump in muddy puddles and tire them out, and I find that worked really well with our boys, and even now that they're in their teenage years, we keep them busy, we keep them active. Simon does lots of activities with them, as do I, and it's about them not getting bored. When they get bored, they get up to mischief, and you don't want that. Charlie, can I ask what type of bed linen you favour? Egyptian cotton would be my go-to always. I do love linen, but I do love linen's more of a sort of an occasional treat. Egyptian cotton is everyday bed linen for us, and I prefer the structure of a cotton bed as opposed to a linen bed. But again, it's personal preference. But old linen that has been washed hundreds of times, I think, is just divine. Is Coco short for anything, and what was the inspiration behind all of their names? Coco isn't short for anything. It is a very funny story behind her name. Well, not funny story, but there's a story. I'll start with Archie's name first. Archie's name was decided upon when I was relatively heavily pregnant. I was absolutely convinced it was a boy, although we didn't find out the sex of any of them. But I was convinced that I was having a boy, and I was right. So we hadn't firmed up any girls' names. We had a few girls' names that we liked. But our favourite boy's name was Archie, and that was decided sitting round our dearest friend's kitchen table. They lived down in Devon, and we were sat there, I think, with Chuck and Emma and a few of their sons. They've got 4 boys, and the name Archie came up, and Simon and I were like, and all of us was just like, yes, that's a great name, and that, that stuck. That's what it was. So that's how Archie got his name. When I was quite heavily pregnant with Coco, we had decided that we liked the name Augustus for a boy, Gus, and we hadn't decided on a girl's name. We had a few ideas, but no kind of firm favourites. And I got a phone call on New Year's Day from a lady who lived not that far away from us, who I vaguely knew, saying, have you got a chair that you had reupholstered recently? Because I think, bizarrely, I've got it by accident. And I said, yes, that's Archie's chair for his bedroom. Anyway, I was heavily pregnant, so Simon went to pick up the chair, and her granddaughter was there, and her granddaughter's nickname is Coco. Chloe, but she's known as Coco, and Simon called me from around the corner and said, if it's a girl, can we call her Coco? I have just met the most beautiful little girl. I think she was about 2 or 3 at the time, and her nickname's Coco, and I just think it would be a great name. And I said, yes, absolutely, I love that, and I've always adored Coco Chanel, and so I thought, I've always thought she was so utterly stylish and fabulous, and with my background of fashion, I thought, yes, Coco it will be. And so we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl, although I did think it was a very different pregnancy to my first one, so I did think I was having a girl. And there's actually a video that we've got on our sort of old-fashioned movie camera with me heavily pregnant in the snow, saying, and stroking my tummy, saying, is it Coco or is it Augustus? And then a couple of weeks later, Coco arrived. And so we'd already chosen the name Augustus if Coco was going to be a boy. I fell pregnant quite quickly with the third one, and that was Augustus. So that is how they got their names. So let's move on. How did homemaking look for you when your children were 6 and under? Had I started? Asked Charlie. I don't know if I had. I think I've always loved homemaking. I've always cooked everything from scratch. And I think because when the children were much smaller, we had Rachel, our amazing nanny. It meant that I could cook everything from scratch. I could have time with the children one-to-one. It meant that I wasn't completely and utterly frazzled with 3 children, very, very close in age. So it meant that I could do all of those things. But I think, again, batch cooking and being organised and using my time really efficiently. And that's really where my efficient home course came from, is those early years of parenting and making life easier. I mean, obviously, Rachel was full-time, but Rachel went on holidays. Rachel had weekends off. And there were times when I was, alone with all three of them, and I had to be super, super organised. And so all of my courses have come from experience and from making life easier for myself and then sharing that with you all. Do you still do things like make marmalade, garden, Sunday roasts weekly? Yes, absolutely. And I did when they were little, and I still do it now. Those are things that I really enjoy doing. For me, gardening is a really kind of therapeutic time. I tend to the flower beds, Quentin does hedges and mowing and like the hard stuff, the edges, the borders, and I do deadheading and weeding and the more delicate side of gardening, and I absolutely love that. For me, cooking is my kind of therapy. It's my downtime. I love it. I love experimenting in the kitchen. I always have done. So those are things that I think I will always do, and I'll always get a lot of pleasure out. I am also completely and utterly obsessed, and you guys, if you've been here for a while, will probably know that. Saw somebody saying, why is she making so much marmalade? Well, do you know what? I actually wishing I had made more marmalade. I've sold a lot of it already. Thank you all very, very much for your orders. But I like to use it when I'm cooking, and I like to give it to friends. So I like to make sure that I have plenty to last me throughout the year. What times of day do you go on social media? Little and often, or in one big time block? Julie, it depends. It depends what I have going on. Obviously, I have videos that go out on a Tuesday and a Friday. I try not to post and then not be able to answer questions or reply to comments. Sometimes that's impossible because, I don't know, I might be getting in the car and driving all day and I just don't have, I can't reply to people while I'm driving or busy. But I don't... I try not to let it rule my life. It's really hard when you do this job. It is, I want to say sort of 24/7, 7 days a week, but it kind of is. Today is actually a Sunday, and I'm filming this because it's a quiet moment. Coco's actually doing some homework. Simon's in the office. The puppies are next door. Obviously, yesterday I couldn't film because I was very much on midwife duties, and I'm keeping a close eye on her and a close ear out while I'm in here filming. So this is my Sunday, and technically I'm working. It helps when you absolutely love what you do, but there will be messages that come in that need an urgent reply to, and that might be at 9 o'clock on a Friday night. That might be I don't know. I've had a couple of emails today that I had to reply to instantly, and that's on a Sunday. And it's hard. It is hard juggling the time, but I do try to make sure that when the children are around, I put my phone down, I put it away. My phone actually lives on silence 99% of the time, unless I know I've got a call coming through and I don't want to miss it, and I will take it off silence, because otherwise it is pinging and ringing and doing its thing all day long, and I find that really intrusive. So I will, turn it upside down. I will pop it away, and it's about getting healthy boundaries. But when you share your life on social media, it is full on. So it's quite hard. Getting the right balance, and it's taken some time for us as a family to adjust to it, for sure. Okay, this question is how to decide when it's the right time to have children, and how did you know that it was the right time in your life and the right age to have them, and age gap between them? And I think this, for me, it's quite straightforward to answer, because I had huge fertility problems, and Simon and I knew that it might always be a challenge. And then suddenly it all happened very quickly for us. So we always knew that we wanted to have children because there is an age gap between Simon and I. We didn't want to wait years before trying, because we knew that it was going to be tricky. And that my gynecologist had told me when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I knew then that it wasn't necessarily going to be an easy journey for me. So we decided not to wait after we got married to start trying. And in fact, we actually started the ball rolling and started having conversations about it. So we knew exactly what we needed to do before we got married. And with regards to having space between them, we decided to let nature take its own course, and what would be. And we ended up with 3 children in 2.5 years, which was bonkers, but utterly wonderful. And I would not change it. Looking back, it was a very busy, hectic time, but actually so wonderful because we were just in the thick of it, and they're really great friends. They're all into similar things, and it works really, really well for us. So we didn't overthink it. We just went with the flow. And I think sometimes in life we can overthink things, and we just have to, what will be will be. So we very much sort of took that attitude and didn't use any form of contraception after having Archie, and we let nature take its own course, and we have 3 wonderful children. I pop it down to acupuncture. I was about to start IVF, and a great friend of mine said, please can you go and see this amazing acupuncturist, and I will leave his details linked down below. It's called Adrian Stoddard, and I wasn't ovulating. I was taking a fertility drug to make me ovulate. It didn't work. I stopped taking it on the recommendation of a new gynecologist I went to for a second opinion, and I did nothing else apart from have acupuncture, and I ovulated, and Archie was conceived. So that worked for us, but it was very much going with the flow as opposed to planning. And sometimes as I just touched on, I think we can over plan things, and I don't think I'm a great believer of what will be will be. So I've screenshot the questions as they've come in that weren't part of the Instagram Q&A. So I'm just flicking through my screenshot. Next question is, please can you tell us about how you meal plan if you have guests? Well, I just sort of do it in the same way as I do for us. So I meal plan for us each week. I have my meal planner and shopping list, which again I will leave linked down below. And it's just a great place to plan out your week. I do on a Sunday night. I sit down and work out what we're having, who's where, who's doing what. And I find it really invaluable. And I just do the same thing when we have guests coming. If we're entertaining and have, more formal dinner parties, then I will sit down and, really plan it out carefully. And I've got an entertaining book, which I use for that. How do you navigate phone and screen time with your children? I have talked about this in previous videos, but not having their phones in their rooms overnight, and that they have to do the things that they have to do before they have phone and tech time. Obviously, they're getting older. Coco's 15, Archie's 16, so that comes with more trust on our part. But I think really not a good idea to have them in their rooms overnight. It's not a good idea for any of us. And I know that some of us do, some of us don't. I go through phases of leaving my phone downstairs, and then sometimes I have it in the room, but I try and leave it the other side of the room so it's not a temptation when I wake up in the night to look at my phone. And it's just putting healthy boundaries in place that that the children understand and can respect, because these can take over our lives. Charlie, I have a question for your Q&A and would really appreciate some advice. My daughter is moving school for A-levels in September, and I'm anxious, an anxious mummy for her to fit in quickly. Any advice gratefully received. She's excited and nervous, but I'm pretty sure I'm more anxious than she is. It will be her first time boarding. I loved boarding and I'm excited about it. It will just be flexi boarding, but I hope that the other girls will be welcoming and friendly. I think don't portray your anxiety onto her. Don't let her know that you're anxious, because then she will be more anxious. So you've got to be really kind of okay about it. You've got to be really positive in the way you speak. It's really easy to, as a parent, to pass our anxieties and our fears onto our children. And that's something that I'm really conscious of not doing. It's about giving your children lots of opportunities and be really kind of positive in your speech to them. And yes, you can be anxious, and yes, you can talk to a friend or a parent or even a therapist. When Archie went off to boarding school, it was very, very much his choice. He pleaded with us. I looked at moving to Scotland because I didn't want to be too far from him. And I ended up having therapy. I went to see my gynecologist and said, I'm feeling awful. I think it's a menopause. And he was like, Charlie, it's not. You're on the pills. So that would be masking any menopause symptoms. Talk to me and what's going on. And I burst into tears and I said, Archie's gone off to boarding school and I'm absolutely bereft. But I didn't want to tell Archie that that's how I was feeling, but I was in a right pickle about it. And he said, I really think that you should speak to a therapist about it and talk it through. And talking and sharing your worries and your concerns with somebody gets them off your chest. And it helped me so much. And seeing him happy and him thriving was just the best thing. And for us, and I know there's been a lot of people on social media, on my channels, thinking that we are the world's worst parents and I'm the world's worst mother for sending my children, the boys, to Scotland. They are happy and they are doing really, really, really well. And that's all, as a parent, you want. You want to be able to give your children the confidence that they can go and do the things that they want to do, that they can go and achieve. And if I feel that I've succeeded as a mother, if my children are happy and confident to go and do things and do exciting adventures. And for me, it's important that I encourage them and give them the confidence to believe in themselves that they can do it. And then I have to just keep my worries and my concerns to me. Archie and his friends are planning an amazing adventure in the summer holidays. And I have to embrace that as an amazing adventure and an amazing opportunity for them. And I have to let them have wings to fly. Yes, I'm anxious. Yes, I'm worried about it. Yes, I will probably have sleepless nights about it. But you've got to let them go. And if you let them go, they'll want to come back. So don't let your fears and your anxieties through onto your children. Find somebody to talk it through with that can give you sensible advice and support and kindness through these changes. And it's so hard as a parent letting your children go. When Gus turned around and said he wanted to join his brother, oh my goodness, I mean, but he's seen how well his brother's doing and how well his brother's thriving. He doesn't want to miss out. So I have to support that. And yes, of course, I miss them. The great thing is they have phones, so we get to chat frequently to them. We get to FaceTime pretty much with one of them every day, if not both of them. And that's amazing. And both of them were in the whelping box with me on video calls yesterday as Lola was having her puppies, so they very much were part of it. And that is so great that we have that technology today, because in the old days we didn't, and it was a very different ball game, children going off to school. But I think embrace it as a positivity and as an exciting thing, and then it will be an easy transition for her. Sorry, that was quite a sort of long, waffly answer, but I hope that gives you the confidence to be positive about it. I've had a question from Chrissy. I'd love to know more about the goats that join the horses from time to time. Those are our next door neighbours' goats, and they are right here. And we share some of the grazing together, so occasionally they will be around, depending on the weather, depending on the time of year, but it's lovely having the goats around. I'd like to know how Sai proposed to you. This is a great question. We were actually on a Catholic pilgrimage in Lourdes with the Order of Malta. Neither of us are Catholic. We're both Church of England, but a great friend of Simon's is a Knight of the Order of Malta. And Simon went for a number of years to help look after. So the Order of Malta, and forgive me if I am not getting this right, and I apologise. Because I'm not Catholic, I don't know all of the ins and outs of it. But the Order of Malta take a number of people from each country to Lourdes each year, and they are looked after, and it's giving their carers and their families some respite while they're away. And it's a really special, amazing thing to do. And it's one of the reasons why I said yes to going on a date with Simon, because when I knew that he gave up a week of his life each year to go and do this voluntarily for free, when it's not even his religion, I thought that was a phenomenal thing and a phenomenal person. It takes a phenomenal person to do that. And I ended up going with him one year. I was just there for the long weekend because I had a full-time job and I couldn't take the extra time, the rest of the week off, but it was a bank holiday. And it was a bank holiday Monday morning, and I was flying back later that day. And had we done a night shift together? I think we'd done a night shift because it was early in the morning and I had my uniform on and we were quite tired, and we were going to walk back to the hotel for me to pack to go to the airport. And so I said, oh, why don't we go and get a coffee by the river? And we sat and chatted, and he proposed to me there. And I will insert a picture of us. His best friend made this wonderful collage for us in memory of that day, the 1st of May. And it was, very, very special. I wasn't expecting it. He took me totally and utterly by surprise. I don't think he was planning to do it there and then. Lourdes is a very, very special place. And we had a phenomenal long weekend together. And I think I saw him in such a different light, caring and nurturing and kind. And it was an immediate yes. So that is how he proposed to me. Right. I enjoyed your questions, and I have another question for part 2. How often do you dust all the books and ornaments behind you? So that was when I was filming in the other room. Also, my vacuum cleaner is just about to die. Do you have a favourite that you can recommend? Yes, Catherine. I love the Miele cat and dog, and it has a wonderful brush attachment that you can actually just vacuum the books and vacuum the shelves. And I would rather than flicking the dust into the room, I would rather vacuum and suck it all up rather than flicking it and then having to do it. For me, that's sort of double job. So I will actually use that attachment quite a lot. The brush attachment is very gentle. And what's great about the Miele cat and dog is you can change the settings. So you can put it down to like a minimum suction. So you can actually dust your lampshades with it and it's not going to damage them. The Miele cat and dog is a very, very powerful vacuum cleaner on its max setting, but you can pop it down to the gentle setting and, use it as a dusting. So that is probably something I do every 2 or 3 weeks. It actually depends on how often we light the fire in there. And obviously the dust from having a fire is more in the winter than it is in the summer. So it's something that does need doing quite frequently, but that is how I do it. Great question. I'm going to pop another log on the fire, and then I think we've just got a few more questions. Right, we have a question about intermittent fasting and how many days do you do the intermittent fasting? So this is a great question. So I'm using the Simple app, and I'm going to leave it linked down below because you can get a 50% off it by using my link, and you have to fill out a questionnaire. It's specific to you, and then it will gear itself up for your needs and your requirements. And so you can fast for as little or as long or not at all if you want, using the Simple app. I absolutely love it, and I'm doing it every day. And obviously if we are staying with friends or we're away, then I will be flexible. But basically I'm just not having breakfast, and I have a really good brunchy, lunchy kind of thing at about midday. And then I have my last meal at about 7:30. Obviously, it's been half term for the last 2 weeks. The children have been here, so I have been a little bit more flexible. But actually, I'm really loving not eating too late in the evening. And I'm not minding the fasting at all. I anyway would get up and get going and get moving. And then I used to have breakfast at about 9-10 o'clock. Or if I was going somewhere, I would have a big breakfast before getting in the car to drive there. And I've actually got used to it really quickly and easily. I feel great from it. I don't feel so sluggish. I have got more energy. I am feeling really, really good. So I think it suits me. I don't know about other people, but maybe it works for some and not for others. I think we're all programmed into we have to have 3 meals a day, but actually we don't. It's just the companies that have sold us that we have to have 3 meals a day and that we have to have breakfast, and we have, I grew up having to have cereal for breakfast or toast for breakfast, but actually I'm really enjoying, like today for my brunch, I had a fried egg on the Arga, so I cook it on the top of the Arga, so there's no oil or anything with that. I had a piece of homemade sourdough, I had some avocado and some cherry tomatoes, and I scanned it on the app, and that told me that that was an optimal meal. It gives you really great tips and advice, and I love it. I cannot more highly recommend it. The link that I have for you to share with you also has the Pilates challenge, which I'm doing every day as well. And I shared that in one of my vlogs recently. And so I just did some really great Pilates, wall Pilates movements this morning, which just, gets you going, gets you limbered up. I obviously had the night with Lola and the puppies, and I'll probably be there again tonight, sleeping in an armchair. So I just felt this morning that I needed to move my body, to have a little bit of a stretch, and felt really, really good for it. Also, the app helps me drink more water. It tracks my water, it tracks my steps, it tracks movement, and then you can log your food. And what's really clever, let me show you. So this is the app. I don't know if you can see because the reflection. So I've done 51 minutes of movement this morning. I've done 2,000 steps. I haven't done very many steps. I've just literally walked the horses up to the field with Coco. I actually haven't logged any of my liquid yet, but I have had probably 24 fluid ounces of water so far today, because I have my big bottle that I fill up. And then my weight, I can track. It then has this explore button. So workout plan, that's my, I don't know, can you see, there's the glare. So today I have done my balance full body sculpt, and I have got, various other workouts I can do, move with more workouts, we can explore that, and there's all of these videos. But there's also food and recipes, library. So new feature, this one's a new feature, can you see it? New era of simple cooking, and there's 100 new recipes to elevate your culinary expertise, which is so clever and amazing. So yes, the intermittent fasting I'm doing every day, but obviously if it's a day that doesn't suit, that doesn't work, that we're with friends, that we're away for the weekend, we're going out for dinner or whatever it might be, then I can just adapt and be totally flexible. But I am loving it, and I think that is the end of the questions. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love doing these Q&As. I love your questions. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that it has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday with this week's vlog, with all the news about the puppies. And it's just so amazing that they are here, that they are safe, that they are well. I'm going to go and see them now, let Lola out, let her have a little leg stretch and give her some lunch. But thank you for tuning in, and much love.